Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, go and check out our other videos. We have now finished every episode of The Simpsons Season 1. So now in this video, we are going to rank all 13 episodes from 13th to top. Although we are doing this, it doesn't mean that any of the episodes are bad from Season 1. It's just how we view where the episodes would place.
So we start off with the 13th rank episode, which is Moaning Lisa. Reasoning behind this is mainly the subjects that could be seen as taboo subjects to discuss. Basically with Lisa and her being upset in this episode, although it's never mentioned in the episode itself, from viewing it back now a few years later, it can be seen as depression, but making it worse, depression in a child.
Nice that you touched on it though.
Yeah.
Because it happened, so...
Yeah, but...
It was controversial, but...
As I say, from me personally watching it back years later, I've only just realised what it was actually saying.
Yeah, so did I.
So, again... Depending on how many other people realise that, if anybody did realise that at the time, it might be an element that's just slipped under the radar. So that's a reason for it being low down, because although they're hissing on it, they're not really saying it as it is, sort of thing.
Another bit, Marge, they're making Lisa do something she doesn't want to do from a past childhood with Patty and Selma.
Yeah, because basically Marge had a difficult upbringing as well, but on the same side, hers was just an upsetting upbringing, whereby Lisa is worse, basically, at the current point she's at. So, yes, basically just like the mother trying to force the daughter to be happy.
I don't know why she's sad in the episode.
No one really does, to be honest. No one really asks, sort of thing. It's just that blindness of letting her get on with it. Also,
Stranger Danger part of the episode where
yeah,
she meets Bleeding Gums Murphy.
which brings a good side of the episode in. They hit on that element, but basically just the fact that Lisa goes off to the local bridge just on the point that she's just heard someone playing a saxophone. So she's up to who she's meeting, and yeah, just basically ends up there. But again...
It was good when Marge came and saved her, but somehow found her.
Yeah, didn't leave a note or anything, but basically found her on the bridge. And then obviously it's a fact of... We don't know who this character is. He could be anybody. So it's just like getting Lisa away from potential danger, which is what every parent should be doing anyway. So that brings the episode back up. And also the other element in this episode as well, Homer's story arc with Bart, the whole video game, the boxing video game, but the element that brings the episode down a bit is
where Homer's playing video games with kids in the arcade.
Yeah, although for us as a viewer, it's innocent enough. He's just trying to learn how to beat his own son at a video game.
But if it was in real life, he'd be investigated by the police.
Exactly, it's not that straightforward in real life. A grown man playing video games with school children, it's going to cause problems. Moving on to episode 12, Life on the Fast Lane.
This centres around Homer's selfishness,
yeah,
forgetting Marge's birthday.
Buying a present that basically is clearly for him, and he does sort of admit it anyway when Marge decides she wants to learn how to bowl, or saying she's going to keep the present. He's like, you don't know how to bowl anyway. But the reasoning for it being this far down, it's basically another Marge and Homer marriage crisis episode.
And Marge forgiving Homer yet again.
Yeah, personally for us, because there's that many of these episodes, it just seems to be an episode they pull out the bag when they run out of other ideas. I'll just have Homer and Marge having marriage problems, but like you say, Marge forgives him every time.
But in this one, she's tempted by Jacques.
Exactly. So that adds an element, which eventually we get to of Marge having to make a decision and choosing Homer.
I don't get why.
Yeah, He's obviously got something special about him that only she can see. But again, getting back to the points that bring it down, basically, as we say, it's a Homer and Marge centric one. Not many other characters.
You don't
bring
offer anything, really.
Bart and Lisa, although they're in this episode, they have basically a small part. Basically, with a lot of the episodes in this series, they have at least a strong second storyline, or a storyline that is basically quite meaty, that has at least 5 to 10 minutes of the episode. Bart and Lisa just seem to be in and out of this episode and not really contributing, although it is seeing it through their eyes.
Lisa's just going through the stages.
Yeah, it doesn't really hit too much on their side of it, so it just ends up just being Marge and Homer.
Yeah, again.
Moving on to episode 11, which is The Call of the Simpsons.
This one's jealousy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is set up firstly by the fact of Ned coming home with an RV, Homer being Homer, wanting to outdo Flanders, even though we're still in the early stages. This is only like Ned Flanders' second appearance in the series, so they've not really built up the storyline of what their relationship would become.
Was Ned actually bragging when he got his RV? Because he parks it outside Simpsons' house. Showing off, or is that not a Flanders thing to do?
Well, Ned sort of has hinted at it in a later episode about the fact of maybe he doesn't realise that they have it slightly better than what Homer and his family have. So I think on one hand it could be seen as bragging, but maybe from Ned's side of it, it's just like, he's just like, I've got this camper van. What do you think of it? Basically trying to get a neighbourly advice. But like you say, it leads to the jealousy of Homer wanting to go one better, wanting the bigger camper van,
which you can't afford.
Yeah, to the fact of when he's getting a credit check, basically, an alarm goes off, and it just shows.
And is that good?
Yeah, he thinks you get good alarms. It's just like, it just shows his stupidity, which spirals even further when he's shown the only RV that he can actually afford, which is just basically a pile of junk. Basically, whatever money he spends on it, he's going to have to pay 3 to 4 times more repairing it.
And he believes the seller when goes, that guy over there is going to be buying this camper van.
Yeah, basically the rest of the family can see it's junk, but basically Homer's just convinced because he thinks this other person's going to buy it.
To be honest, he don't last long anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. Yeah, speeding through the countryside, manages to stop precisely on the edge of a cliff without putting the RV over the cliff.
That's the Simpsons and cartoons for you.
Yeah. The episode though is basically pulled up by the fact it does have a second story arc, and a second story arc with a difference. It's actually a Maggie story arc, which for Maggie, she hardly gets stories to begin with. She just appears sometimes as like the comic element of Homer forgetting that he's got a third child.
Yeah, it was good getting that storyline.
So yeah,
she never really offers anything in episodes.
Yeah, basically she's mainly either Homer's forgetting he has her as a child, or is just being there with Marge in the house, and that's...
or them saying she'll speak any day now.
Yeah, so yeah, a nice point for Maggie to actually get a little bit of storyline with sort of being adopted by the Bears sort of thing. As I say, second story arc, because you got the Homer and Bart main story arc.
Marge and Lisa don't offer much to the episode.
All they really give is just the opposite perspective, just the fact of Homer's apparently this woodsman, which we've never heard before or since. Obviously, they dropped it for the main reason that Homer can't survive in the woods, proved in this episode.
Exactly.
But it shows the other side with Marge and Lisa, the fact that they're able to build a campfire and everything like this. And even Marge is like, well, we can do this. What imagine what your dad can do with
Look
Bart.
at him when he set that trap.
Yeah, basically flings a rabbit halfway across the woods. He can't spring traps. He ends up losing all his clothes from falling off a waterfall.
If he's gonna get that.
Yeah, and then another thing that drags it down, the Bigfoot.
Yeah, you had that guy
end.
filming Homer before he gets into the swamp. And then when he gets in the swamp, he actually says, I've seen Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I captured him.
Even if it's the fact that he didn't see him instantly when he's filming it, it's on video. All you got to do is go back, watch the footage and be like, no, it's just some human. But then, even after they take Homer off the tests and all the muck and everything that happened to him, which convinced people it was Bigfoot, had been taken, they're still like, oh, we don't know whether he's human or an ape. And it's just like, how dumb do you have to be? What, you think you just shaved an ape when all you've done is just clear muck off him?
I know, that ruined the episode for me.
It's just like, it just a bit...
The ending was the worst part of the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief, basically. Moving on now to episode 10, Bart the Genius.
This episode stems from Bart
cheating on his test, basically.
Taking Martin's test paper, writing his name on it.
Yeah, Principal Skinner's realised, obviously, that he's cheated. Even though he doesn't realise how he's cheated, he just knows he's cheated. Wants him to resit the test, but as soon as the school psychologist basically says to him, oh, we should move him to another school, Skinner's all over this. Just one of those episodes that paints the education system as being just wrong or corrupt in Springfield. Just the fact of, oh, Bart's a student that causes him nothing but problems, so Skinner, first attempt he gets, will ship him off anywhere, even if he knows or believes that he's cheated.
The thing I don't get in this is how bright Martin is. Bart taking his test paper and writing his name on it, yeah. But then he gets sent to another school. But then when you find out Martin's not offered to go to another school, is he?
And at the same point, Martin doesn't even question, because obviously he must have been told how bad he did on his exam. Or they spoke to him. What school of a student gets poor marks isn't going to turn
I'd like to have seen his face.
So it's like, what, he's going to take that sitting down? What, I really got that lowest score? Let's face it, Bart taking that test, it was probably, 10-15%?
His face would have been a picture.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so that's just a stupid element of it. And basically the fact of, apart from Principal Skinner, who just, once he's sent Bart away, obviously just sweeps it all on the carpet, basically. There's only one other person in this episode that really senses that Bart has cheated.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Is this why? Because she doesn't want Bart to be brighter than her. She's a bit jealous that he's got the attention. Because she's jealous that he's gone to a better school and she's...
Possibly, but at the same point, she calls him a dimwit. Bart doesn't question it and just says, yeah, this dimwit's on Easy Street, basically. So he just basically admitted that he cheated. Yet she stays stum anyway. It's like, Melissa of later series would have jumped at the chance to dob him in.
Yeah, sometimes in episodes you can be a bit not supportive to Bart in a sense.
Or she can have a jealous points. But again, maybe not Homer, because, let's face it, we've all hit on the fact that he's not exactly the brightest spark. But Marge, is she really believing that Bart is this smart child? Or
it's a mother thing to do.
Is it the blinders that she always seems to have with him? It's like, he's probably cheated, but he's smart and all this.
Yeah, it's blind stuff, like I said. It's a mother thing to do.
And just, even when he's at the smart school, it's like, he's not really shown any signs of being this brainy intellect, yet they don't really push with it.
Well, no, look at when he swapped the lunches.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that was just the kids, they're just using that. But surely when the teacher is there asking all these questions and he's not giving the right answers, or the whole damn do you do, damn do you don't thing, would you not think that a school like that would maybe want to do their own test to really find out?
Well, you'd think so.
But yeah, so that's basically Bart the Genius. Next up, episode 9, Homer's Night Out.
This one stands from Homer going on a stag do.
yeah, the first gripe with this episode, it's the fact of, like you say, he goes on the stag do, but at the same point, Marge takes the kids out, and conveniently,
It's next
the
door.
seafood restaurant, is next door to where the stag party's being held. It's just like one of the many instances of like, oh, two characters who supposedly don't know where the other one is, being at the same point, which happens again at the end of this episode as well, with Marge turning up at the club that Homer's at.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though she's supposed to be at home looking after Lisa and Maggie.
Well, she do follow him there.
Yeah, but she doesn't really do anything until Homer starts speaking, as if it's like, what? So has she followed him there, or is she just standing up because she's realised he's there? And if that's the case, what's she doing in a place like that anyway?
Yeah. Part of the episode, I don't get the picture. In my opinion, it was an innocent picture taken, which meant nothing, and it was passed around to so many people. Yeah,
it just basically starts off at Bart spying on Homer. Takes this. I mean, why Bart took the picture in the first place? What's his fascination with his dad dancing with another woman?
Yeah, but he was using the camera. He was using the camera. He was enjoying taking pictures.
But like you say, it spirals from. It was Milhouse, the first person who asked for a copy of the picture. Then that spirals to Lewis wanting the copy, and then all of a sudden, every single kid's taking a picture of it. Then it gets back to their parents. Then before you know it, the entire town's seen it. Even that's a bit far-fetched. There's got to be people in Springfield that aren't connected to any child that goes to Springfield Elementary or know any of the parents.
Yeah, there will be.
Yet they all see it. And yeah, it's just a case of, like you say, what's so special about this picture? Is Springfield that sad that they have to get the jollies off seeing Homer dancing with a female dancer, basically?
Probably, yeah.
But it does get redeemed. The episode does get redeemed with the ending anyway.
Yeah, with Homer teaching Bart women are not just objects.
Even though he's got to get forced by Marge to do that as well. Because he just spends the episode trying to make up to Marge again. This one turns into another Marge and Homer marital episode that we love so much.
Can't get enough of them.
Yeah, but basically he's only doing it because Marge is telling him, even though eventually it does lead to Homer actually giving a good message at the end.
He finally realised.
Yeah, that the whole premise that women are not objects. They could be members of your family and all this sort of thing. So the episode still ends on a high. Next up, episode 8, The Crepes of Wrath.
Yep, this episode stems from Bart using a cherry bomb at school with Skinner's mum in the toilets.
Yeah, it stems into another Skinner trying to get rid of his problem by abusing the system. It's like, as he says at first, deporting Bart, but basically put him on the exchange programme, which usually would be reserved for more academically gifted children.
I don't get that, because exchange student, you should have got another French person where he gets an Albanian.
Yeah, exactly. And just the way that whole story arc develops, the fact this child that they're getting a deal, he basically grows fond of Homer, but obviously as a story...
Only because you want something out of him.
Yeah, but at the same point, how did he know that Homer works at a power plant? I don't think that was mentioned to begin with.
It wasn't.
But yeah, he's using him to get to the power plant, taking pictures, even though Homer doesn't question it. I mean, he's basically blind in this one because there's a kid in the house that wants to hang out with him and go see his work and all this sort of thing. But yeah, just elements of this when the authorities finally catch up. Firstly, they say they pinpointed the exact location.
Yeah, and it's looking right at Ned's house.
Yeah, and it takes until Homer mentioned the deal's name. It's like, oh yeah, they realise who it is.
Positive with the episode, though, is when Bart realises about
what family really means.
What family really means, yeah.
Yeah, but again, going back to your deal side, even once he's been captured by the feds, and Homer's like, oh yeah, I'll send you those photos that you want. It's like, again, how dumb can you be? He's just been arrested and deported for terrorism, yet Homer's still trying to aid and abet him. But with the Bart storyline going to France, the fact of how quickly he learns French in this one. Because they basically say, even though they do hint saying the average child can learn French in a couple of months, just the way they get to it is a bit daft.
Yeah, it was stupid.
He says a couple of words in French, and all of a sudden he can suddenly speak fluently in French.
I didn't get that. I didn't like that.
So that just basically...
I mean, that ruined the episode for me.
Exactly. It lets the story down. Next up, episode 7, There's No Disgrace Like Home. Basically, this one, Homer trying to force the family to be normal.
It took the role of Marge in this episode.
Yeah, Marge at the beginning is a bit Homer with the way that she gets drunk at the company picnic and makes a fool of herself, when normally that'd be a Homer thing. But again, previously mentioned, one of the other ones was saying about Homer's jealousy. I think it creeps in more in this episode, just the jealousy of other employees being treated better by Mr. Burns.
Yeah, it does. Like when he's queuing up to go in.
Yeah, he tries to bribe Bart into being affectionate towards him, because he's seen another employee have affection shown to him by his child, but Mr. Burns sees right through this anyway. And yeah, just the fact it just leads off into Homer wanting the family to be normal by any means necessarily, even though it leads to some cases of nearly criminal acts, flipping trespassing on other people's property, because he wants to show the family what the normal family looks like. Basically.
But at the end, they ask him to draw a picture, and the picture they draw is Homer.
Yeah,
he's the main problem in the family.
Because basically, Homer is trying to force the family into all this stuff. But it's more the end of the episode because this episode is basically the middle episode on this list. It's mainly here because of the ending, the fact that through everything Homer's done, they actually still somehow managed to come out with a happy ending, basically, in the fact of because of Dr. Marvin Monroe's slogan, family bliss or double your money back. They didn't go in with that, and Homer went in with the intention of getting a decent family out of it. But in the end, Monroe tells them to go because they clearly cannot be saved as a family. And Homer's like, well then, double my money back then. So they end up actually getting a win.
Yeah, that was good. That's what made the episode good, in my opinion. The ending.
Yeah, it's basically, when you first view it, you just don't see it. It's coming. It's just like, yeah, the family's being chucked out. It's another loss, but it's then, here you go. You just made some money out of the episode. So yeah, that one's that. Now moving on to episode 6, which is Krusty Gets Busted.
Yeah, this episode, Sideshow Bob framing Krusty the Clown.
Yeah, basically this one's towards the upper echelon on the list, because it's basically one of the main reasons it's a main storyline for a supporting member of the cast, not one of the main Simpsons family, and it's the first one that the Simpsons ever did where they gave the lead storyline to a non-Simpson member.
Good part of the episode is when Bart doesn't give up on his hero.
Yeah, he has a slight wobble to begin with, but then it's just a nice element, the fact of they split the episode into basically Homer on one side of the law and Bart on the other side. So you've got the family conflict, Bart trying to prove Krusty's innocence, and at the same point trying to stop Homer from testifying. But there is still bits that drag it down a bit, for the reason of it being slightly lower in the top half. Basically, when you look at it, Homer being the lead witness.
Yeah, when it should have been
Apu,
exactly.
Homer hid throughout the whole thing, yet he's a lead witness. He doesn't realise it's Krusty, or who he thinks is Krusty, until the police sketch artist has basically shown him the picture. just basically brings it down. And also with the fact of it takes Bart at the end of the episode to realise that Sideshow Bob's got big feet and Homer's stood on the robber's feet on the edge of the foot. And
you thought you would have figured that out a bit earlier, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So there was early signs there of showing an aptitude for Chief Wiggum and the police force. So sort of a good point for what Chief Wiggum would become. But yeah, now episode 5, Homer's Odyssey. Now, although the story does revolve similar to with Moaning Lisa, it's a depression side of it. It's higher up in the list mainly because of the fact of the entire episode isn't centered around Homer's depression. We get the setup of him losing his job just because of his ineptitude at the power plant.
Thanks to Bart,
exactly. But we still get the happy outcome at the end of him becoming this campaigner for safety, even though we get there with quite a dark moment of him thinking about committing suicide.
One part of it I didn't like is when he stole from Bart.
Yeah, bringing the piggy bank. But that did lead to a bit of continuity going on, because there was a few episodes later on in the series, at least 2 that I can remember, that actually hark back to that by showing the piggy bank.
Yeah, they do.
Stuck together. So, although it's a dark moment, it still basically goes, well, the series can have continuity somewhere through that. But, like I say, Homer then has a purpose. He takes on the role of safety person for the whole of Springfield, even though it does get out of hand. And it basically leads to him getting his job back. But at the same point, you can sort of say this is an origin story of how he became the safety inspector at the power plant.
Yeah, you could say that.
Even though basically, as we learn through the years, he's basically the worst person to have as a safety technician.
How many meltdowns has he had?
Yeah. So basically, this episode shows Homer as having a responsible side of him, wanting to keep Springfield safe. But really, it's the only episode that shows it, because after that, he just returns to the clumsy, inept person who you really don't want to be a safety inspector looking after a nuclear power plant.
No.
But still, pretty strong episode. Episode 4 in this ranking, Telltale Head.
Yep, this one stems from Bart befriending boys.
Yeah, he basically stems from one conversation with them about chopping the head off Jebediah Springfield's statue, which leads Bart, like many kids probably, or don't know many kids that probably go, oh, I'm getting the good book, so I'll chop his head off. But basically the premise is he's basically done that because he wants to show off, even though that basically leads to the entire town, including the bullies who said it'd be cool for it to happen, turning against him.
Yeah, because he talked to Homer.
Yeah.
Homer said it's always good to be popular.
So yeah, this is what keeps it from being in the top 3, sort of Homer giving bad advice, but basically a flashback episode with a purpose, basically, because yeah, it's just a flashback just to a couple of days ago, as opposed to all the flashbacks that you do in recent years of the origins of many aspects of The Simpsons, even though over the years they'd retcon it, especially with Homer and Marge's relationship. One of the key ones being the episode The 90s Show, which I'm sure a lot of you will know about, the episode that basically retconned the entire story arc of the first flashback about Bart being born in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it was nice for this episode to just have a simple, straightforward flashback episode. Didn't go too far back, it just told the story of a couple of days ago. Basically the premise of Bart wanting to make himself popular, but basically choosing the outcome that meant he became the most unpopular child or person in the entire town, basically. But through this, even when the family find out, yeah, Homer's annoyed, but the family is supportive of him and encourage him to take the head back. So basically the family are the only ones that don't turn against him at that point, even though the town forgive him, which I think they do too quickly anyway.
You do too quickly forgive him,
so
yeah.
That brings the episode down a little bit as well. But it's still good in that sense. Just some of the jokes in it that make it a good episode. Bart having to be patted down by Marge before going to church.
Yeah.
Flipping the Walkman that he manages to still smuggle out, which Homer takes because he wants to watch the game, which leads to one of the best lines in the first series of him listening to the game, and when the winning touchdown or field goal, whatever it was, he just blurts out with, it's good, and then it's like, it's so good to see you all in church.
Yeah, that was a funny bit, that.
So yeah, pretty strong episode there. Next up, the third best, or third in the list, the episode that aired firstly, the Christmas episode in a sense, Simpsons Roast on an Open Fire.
Yeah, this stems from Homer losing his.
But he doesn't get his Christmas bonus.
Doesn't get his Christmas bonus.
But it's sort of the fact of we still have a little bit beforehand. Bart is infatuated with getting a tattoo. Thinks having a tattoo is the best thing in the world. Sneaks off to get one. Marge stops him in the middle of it anyway. Subsequently takes him to get it lasered off.
So all her money, which she saved up for Christmas, was spent on him removing his tattoo.
But she's like, oh, it's fine, because Homer's getting his Christmas bonus. But like you say, we've only just realised and been told that Homer isn't getting a Christmas bonus. So basically, because of Bart being selfish in a sense.
He was being selfish in this episode.
And just you can't really call it miscommunication, because Marge thought there was a bonus coming. It's just because Mr. Burns, being Mr. Burns, decided not to do it.
And in this episode, is Homer jealous of Ned? In this
episode?
Yeah,
this episode is jealousy on the Flanders, because really with this one, like you asked in the Call of the Simpsons episode, this one is more of Ned showing off. Homer's got few lights on the house, and Ned's just like, look at my house.
Look at it when he leaves the store. All the presents, all the boxes which were on the floor, which were Ned's, and then you had Homer's.
Yeah, it's just one thing, and they're just like, this is mine, which makes Homer snap, which probably a lot of people would, and it's like, they're all yours. But at the same point, it's dragged down a little bit just because of the fact that Homer doesn't tell Marge straight away. Well, to be fair, he doesn't tell her until the end of the episode. And the only other person that knows is Bart, and that's only by accident. But he doesn't tell her, so he decides he wants to do the Christmas shopping.
And he's a bit of a grump in this episode, though, isn't he? It's like when he was going to get the Christmas tree, he didn't want Bart and Lisa to go with him.
Yeah. But again, because he's trying to protect the family, because, again, they don't know he's not got the money. As I say, Bart finds out, but the accident there is the fact of he pulls a prank and makes a bet with Milhouse and a couple of the other kids that he won't pull the beard off the Santa at the mall, which just happens to be Homer because he's taken up a second job to get more money in. So Bart then finds that and he's supportive of it. But then by the end of it, he just doesn't get a paycheck, basically. Which then leads to Barney leading him astray gambling.
Yeah. Positive thing, though, about the episode is the dog. He brings Santa's little helper and builds the family together.
Yeah, basically it gives you the origin for Santa's little helper. Throughout this series, he wouldn't appear all the time because of, as we mentioned in previous reviews, basically the episode ordering was mixed up. So this episode was supposed to be later on in the series. It's supposed to be like the halfway point. So it's a good point of bringing Santa's Little Helper into it, but at the same point, because they put this as the first episode, Santa's Little Helper doesn't appear as often through the series, so it leads to a bit of continuity error throughout the series, basically. But yeah, so that's that one. Now, second place and runner-up in the list is Bart the General.
Yep, this one stems from Bart protecting Lisa at school because some boys of Nelson's
stealing cupcakes that she'd made for Miss
stealing
Hoover.
Cupcakes. Bart sticks up for her, but then Nelson gets involved, so has beef with Bart.
Well, Bart throws a punch sort of thing and accidentally hits him, which
Nelson didn't realise at first.
Yeah, he thought it was someone else's blood. He thought it was Bart's blood or something along those lines, because he mentioned that, it happens all the time, somebody else's blood splatters. So basically, Bart in the series is basically the first person to make Nelson bleed.
But a bad thing about the episode is why it's not number one is Principal Skinner ignoring the fact that Bart was going to get beat up after school.
Yeah, basically Nelson's like, I'll see you after school. Bart's trying to protest, and Skinner's like, no, to class, he'll see you after school. It's just like, education system at its finest again.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, as we can see from this series, Skinner's not exactly the nicest of principals to have.
No.
But yeah, so the episode just basically divulges into Bart just thinking he's going to get... Well, he takes the fact that he thinks Nelson's going to beat him to death. His dream sequence, another thing that brings it down. Nelson ends up at his dream funeral.
Yeah,
why
really?
would you invite the person who killed him to the funeral? I know it's a dream, but still, it's a pretty strange one to have. Another reason why it's this high up in the list, it gives Grandpa a storyline, but Grandpa actually is portrayed as a better character in this one. He's not portrayed as the senile, elderly character that they make him
No, he's
into.
not. He's good in this episode. He's got more of a firepower in it.
Yeah, he's basically shown to be the most mature of the Simpsons family. With Homer's trying to give him advice about the whole family jewels thing, it being a Simpsons trait, even though it's like
Family Jewels Simpsons trait.
it's like, yeah. But then you've got it with Marge butting in when Homer's trying to give Bart advice and Marge just gets involved. So they're at loggerheads. So it's like Grandpa's the last resort, basically. I don't think he's portrayed as last resort, but it comes across like that. Homer and Marge haven't been much help, and Lisa just suggests he goes.
I like the way though the kids get together and help Bart out.
Yeah, it's basically. Yeah, basically, I think was the main objective. So it's like, yeah, you may have a bully that everybody's scared of, but as a unit, basically, you can combat him, basically.
This is the best Nelson in this episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, Nelson is the bully, and not as the character that they watered him down to be. I know, obviously, he gave a backstory of why he became what he was, but...
No, he was watered down.
But he got watered down. He got given emotions and feelings. School bully, don't need that. So, yeah, this early version of Nelson is the better one.
And I like it's higher up for me as well, as in it means war's not the answer to everything.
Yeah, again, you get the message at the end. Yeah, war is not the answer to everything. The fact that in the end it's like, although they've been fighting to begin with, although it's forced upon him, there is a truce between them. So, yeah. Which leaves the number one spot. And basically a surprising one, because this episode nearly ended The Simpsons, or it could have ended it before it began. And it's Some Enchanted Evening.
The animation issues wasn't what they wanted it to be.
Yeah, so basically that's one of the main reasons we got it top, because basically from what it was to begin with, like you say, with the poor animation, the fact the writers and producers just ordered the animators to go away and actually redo the episode. For the finished product they got when it eventually did as the final episode of the series, basically from seeing the stills of what the original animation was to what it actually became, there is a world of difference between the two.
One thing I didn't get with the episode though, don't know if you thought the same, is when they ring up and the Simpsons have been barred to getting like
the whole Simpsons incident.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit stupid that the fact that Marge has rung up, said that the Simpsons, they said not a chance because obviously Bart's caused something in the past that's caused the entire family or the entire kids to be barred from being babysat. But then as soon as she puts the phone down, Homer rings back, says Samson, and then the Simpsons was never mentioned. All that said is, did your wife just ring? And he turned around and goes, no, I said Samson, not Simpson. And yet that's never questioned. It's
that was a bit odd in that episode for me.
But
the gist of the episode, it's top for me is because the kids all come together as one.
It basically
to protect
utilises
themselves.
all of them. Yeah, basically it's top. It's top for the fact of all 5 main Simpsons members are used in it. Because you've got Homer and Marge with the storyline again, although it is another Homer and Marge marriage problem episode. By my account, that makes 3 in this series. Overkill already. But it's just the fact that, like you say, the kids are all involved. They come up with this plan to catch the babysitter bandit.
Even Maggie has another storyline in this.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it is a bit far-fetched.
When she walks and crawls.
And is able to untie them. But it just works as an episode, although it's got the Marge and Homer element that we don't really care for. It doesn't drag it down too much because the kids basically bring it up, sort of thing, and the fact that they prove that they can work as a unit. And although by the end of the episode they don't have much left because it's all been stolen, it's still,
even though Homer helped in the car,
it's stupidity, but it's mainly basically top because of the fact that it utilises all 5 characters. The kids have a strong role. I think really the main story is the kids against Babysitter Bandit.
This episode was the main story, was it?
Yeah. And basically just the fact of considering where this episode was when the series began, the fact this should have been the first one to be aired, and just the problems with the animation, it just changed completely by the time it eventually did get to screen as finale. So yeah, basically just a strong episode, strong end to the series, and
that's it for us.
That'll do it for the list. As always, like,
comments.
share, comments. Yeah, you may have your own ideas on what the list should be. Let us know how you rank the 13 episodes.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yep. And until next time,
we'll see you in the next videos, which will be season 2.
Which will be starting off with Bart Gets an F. But until then,
we'll see you next time.